Those stories tonight, December 20th, 1991.
The mayor of your town proposes a radical experiment. His goal is to improve racial harmony in his virtually all-white town. But he has hardly any minorities to work with. His solution? Recruit minorities to move into the city, seek them out, guarantee them jobs. But will familiarity breed harmony or contempt?
Racial tension has always been part of American life, and lately it seems to be flowing again. David Duke is one indicator. So was the debate over whether the new civil rights bill is really a quota bill. Well, tonight, Stone Phillips takes us to a city where talk about racism fills the air. It's a look at the hopes and fears of the whitest region in the country.
The students at Irving Elementary School in Dubuque, Iowa are 98% white. This year, they got a new principal from out of town. They like him. He's different. And in Dubuque, he's a first.
Morning. Morning. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Are there other black teachers?
Not to my knowledge.
Guidance counselors?
None, whatever.
You're the only one.
I am the only one.
Hey, who was number 33?
Before Jerome Greer came here, most of these students had never had any contact with a black. Many had never even seen one in person.
How have the children at the school reacted to your being here?
Since I've been here, there has not been any situations where I could consider a child as being opposed to having a black principal. And I thought it a very good and real honest communication when the kid asked me if he could feel my hair, because he had never touched a black person's hair.
I can have white people in this community who can spend their whole lifetime moving throughout the community and never see a black.
Dubuque Mayor James Brady wants more blacks like Jerome Greer to come to his city.
I have people who go to their fathers and say, is that man really a professor? I thought all blacks were athletes. We're culturally deprived. I have people writing letters to the editor who say the blacks won't come anyway because they don't like the cold.
You make it sound as if Dubuque's been in a time capsule.
I'm sorry, but we have.
We've got cloudy skies and 45 degrees in downtown Dubuque.
There was a time when blacks were literally turned away from the bridge in Dubuque. The white population wanted to isolate itself, and it did. According to the 1990 census, Dubuque County is the whitest county in America. And the city itself, population 60,000, has just 331 blacks. Why? Well, just ask Hazel O'Neill. She and her husband were transferred here 6 years ago with their family.
I'll tell you about an incident that happened to my two granddaughters. One was 14 and the other was 4. They walked 3 blocks to get some ice cream on Sunday, and a truckload of adult white males tried to spit on them and told them, "Niggas, get out." But you're afraid to walk in the street because you're harassed.
After school. And Irving Elementary School's new principal is getting an education as well on what it's like to be black in Dubuque.
I was down to a hotel waiting on some people to come in. And of course, there were a group of people that were sitting over telling nigger jokes.
And they were telling these jokes knowing that you could hear them.
The act was very visible, very audible, and they did not care.
They're bigoted, they're class conscious, but the ones that I have the hardest problem with are the ones that go to church every Sunday and then won't sit on the pew beside you.
It seems that almost everywhere you look in Dubuque, there's a cross. The residents are nearly 2/3 Catholic, and religion here runs as wide and deep as the river this city was built on, the Mississippi. But the cross people here are most obsessed with now is the burning cross of racial hatred and bigotry. 2 years ago, when a cross was set on fire to terrorize a black family here, city leaders decided it was time to change what nearly everyone here admits is Dubuque's long-standing reputation as one of the most closed, intolerant, and racist cities in the Midwest. An extraordinary plan was approved to attract 100 families from minority groups to take jobs and move to Dubuque, to add some cultural diversity to this virtually all-white city. The plan is entitled, We Want to Change. The 9-page document approved last spring reads like a confession. It openly acknowledges the racism here, and it calls on local businesses to help change that by bringing in an average of 20 minority families a year for entry level as well as professional jobs. In order to attract minorities, the plan says they should receive subsidies to rent or buy a home. And they should be guaranteed job security, even though others may have more seniority. Special grants and tax dollars would be used to pay for the plan. The reaction? July 3rd, a cross burned at Dubuque Senior High School. August 19th, another cross set on fire on the north side of town. Graffiti scrawled on public buildings throughout the city.
You don't know what's next. You know, like you go to bed at night and you wonder, well, what's going to happen tonight? You wake up in the morning wondering what did happen.
Assistant Police Chief Terry Lambert says ever since the integration plan went into effect, his job has been a lot tougher.
We've had several incidents where crosses have been burned, and we have a lot of people that are very concerned about that. A week ago Sunday night, we had 5 of them burned at this location here.
And yet another cross was burned next to Irving Elementary School. Jerome Greer couldn't help but get the message.
We had a cross burned right across the street from the window where my office is.
You grew up in the South. You know what that burning cross stands for.
My dad used to often tell us about when he was a boy, how the crosses would be burned up on the hills and how they could stand out late at night and watch the Ku Klux Klan people riding up the road on their big horses. And the difference is he was describing the year 1929, 1939, and I'm living in 1991, and I'm seeing the same thing, and I'm wondering why.
Does it make you feel personally threatened?
It makes me feel personally violated.
Why not just leave them select their own towns? You know, leave us select our own towns. Leave everyone select their own towns if they want to.
Bill McDermott says he hasn't burned any crosses, but he has friends who have.
You know some of the guys who've been involved.
Yes, I do.
What do you think they meant?
What do I think? I know what they meant. A guy told me what he meant. He told the whole Dubuque what he meant. It was in opposition to the plan.
As a construction worker in between jobs, McDermott feels the integration plan just isn't fair. He and his friends are calling it reverse discrimination.
I don't want preferential treatment to happen at my expense.
What first-hand experiences have you had with blacks or minorities?
In which way?
In your daily life. I mean, there aren't many here, less than 2%.
I play ball with a black, great guy. We're not against that. We're not against blacks. We're saying we don't want people to come to Dubuque and get special treatment.
Why use us as lab rats? See, every single instance integration has been tried. It failed. So what makes you think Dubuque, Iowa is going to work, you know?
To underscore their opposition to the integration plan, McDermott and his friends posed for this portrait, sporting the emblem of the ultra-right-wing group, the National Association for the Advancement of White People.
What's the message you were trying to send out?
Everybody deserves equal rights, and it seems like they're getting everything, and we're getting trampled on. It seems like now it's like I'm turning the other way around, you know? It seems like we need our civil rights now. White people do.
Is that why you posed for this picture?
Yes, it is.
Well, they never actually joined the NAAWP, founded by former Klansman and presidential candidate David Duke. But McDermott and his friends are trying to start a new chapter of the Ku Klux Klan here to keep minorities out.
Supporter of David Duke? Would you vote for David Duke for president?
Yes, I would. I believe in him 100%. The man's a saint. He's a white Martin Luther King. That's what he is.
The views of McDermott and others like him may be extreme, even for Dubuque. But when they say this city doesn't need more minorities and shouldn't bring them here, their words strike a powerful chord. Like most cities hard hit by the recession, Dubuque's factories have been laying people off.
Place your bets. Yes, Ben.
And the bet Dubuque made a few years ago that riverboat gambling would revive the local economy has yet to pay off. A lot of residents say new jobs and promotions are so scarce in Dubuque that people here should get them first, not outsiders.
I think the integration should be, but it's bad timing. Little Dubuque is a little stronger in business. You know, we got jobs for everybody.
Why bring outsiders in now when we've got unemployed people now?
Businessman David Hardig says people aren't opposed to integration, just quotas.
I think a lot of people feel that there's force being applied here, and they don't like it. And I don't like force. I would much rather see it on a voluntary basis and no time frame given and no quota given.
When you put a number on the plan, 100 families of color, didn't you make it sound like a quota?
It may sound like a quota, but we felt that that was necessary. We waved the flag in front of the bull. Yeah, it sounds like a quota, and that irritates people. If this terrible plan goes through, we'll move it from 1.2% black to about 1.8% black. That's got to be threatening to all those 60,000 people, doesn't it?
Well, plenty of people say they're feeling threatened.
Well, let them feel threatened. My job is to let them know that they're not threatened. Our job is to show them reality.
But the political reality is that opposition to the integration plan has become so fierce that city leaders are now promising not to spend a single tax dollar on it. And active recruitment of minorities has dropped off considerably. And when you talk to people in the bingo parlors and shopping malls around Dubuque, many say that's just fine with them.
How do you feel about this goal of trying to make Dubuque more culturally, ethnically diverse?
I don't think it needs to be changed. It's been this way for years and years. And I wouldn't change a thing about Dubuque. I like it just the way it is.
Do you think this plan is just asking for trouble?
I think it is. To tell you the truth, I think it is. I think they're probably going to have more cross burnings and all that, I think.
There is racism here. It's here. It's in the women 55 to 70 years old where I'm meeting a great block of resistance. It's in the labor force who has never shared its workplace with them.
After what's happened here, do you really expect any blacks to want to move here?
It will be difficult. It will be difficult. And I think our job is to make them feel welcome, to put the invitation out, and hope that they're strong enough to come.
Jerome Greer was strong enough to come and deal with the everyday indignities. Because in the end, he believes that while racism in Dubuque may be more visible, this city really isn't all that different from any other city in America when it comes to people's attitudes toward minorities.
There's a lot of racism in Dubuque. But for the most part, it's not built upon hate. It's built upon lack of exposure, lack of contact with people from other races, especially black people.
You gonna stay?
I'm gonna stay.
Despite what's been going on here?
Despite everything that's been going on.
But Hazel O'Neill has a message for the people of Dubuque if they're really serious about changing this city's unsavory reputation.
I think I speak for quite a number of African American people. They don't go where people burn crosses. That to us represents death.
Stone, what happened to those people who have been burning the crosses?
Barbara, more than a dozen crosses have been burned. 6 people have been arrested. They've been getting community service sentences and probation. One of them promised to write an essay about Martin Luther King. One of the ironies here is that you hear people say on the street, if these working minority families come to Dubuque, the crime rate's going to come up.
Yeah.
Blatant, ridiculous stereotyping. One of the people we heard that from was Bill McDermott, the young man we interviewed in the piece. And yet, he has a criminal record of his own, including a conviction for assault with a baseball bat.
Oh, there's so much misunderstanding, but is this the best way to go about attracting minorities, to force them in?
Well, the problem here is this became a quota, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, whites and minorities alike.
And I guess if it had worked here, they'd try it in other cities, and if it doesn't, other cities might not. Thank you, Stone.
Well, coming later, one little boy destined to be thrown away, who now has the happiest life imaginable, all because of a couple who saw him on 20/20. But first, throwing darts at the New York Stock Exchange. Do what John Stossel does, and you may make more money than you would by listening to the experts or your broker. John shows us why this is so, right after this.
What, Mom? The Chex Party Mix is for the guests? Good grief.
Don't worry. Now it's so easy. We can make more in 10 minutes.
I can't even make toast. Just mix up the Chex and the seasoning, shake it in a bag, and pop it in the microwave. They're not coming? We can't eat the Chex Party Mix? All right! Chex Party Mix. It's so easy and so good.
The Seiko U.S. Olympic Team Collection, a triumph of time from Seiko, the official timer of the games of the 25th Olympiad. Seiko, the measure of greatness.
This man's incredibly close, comfortable shave comes from the Norelco razor. But to see how he got it, we have to go back to when he began shaving. Not just above the skin, but below it. Here, our patented lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can actually drop below skin level without the blades even touching your face. Try it, and you'll keep going back to Norelco for a perfect shave. Norelco, we make close, comfortable.
There's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Only Sears has the Die Hard. Sears is so confident of Die Hard starting power, if you need a jump, Sears will do it absolutely free. Anytime, anywhere, even if you leave your lights on.
I got stranded once. Never again.
Sears Die Hard. More power when you need it most.
Who's gonna back you better than Sears?
Saturday, join ABC for an incredible musical event with superstars Bill Collins, Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, and George Michael as In Concert presents Two Rooms, a tribute to Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Saturday at 9, 8 Central.
Hi, Bob Saget here. You see this graphic to my right? Of course you do. It is the official Christmas episode seal of ABC. That means we here at Funniest Videos guarantee to show you Santa and his friends as never seen before. That's only on America's Funniest Home Videos, Sunday at 8, 7 Central.